Welcome. This is another edition, Grapsody Interviews. I'm here with my co-host, Righteous Reg. Of course, we've got special guest, Adam Cole in the building, TNT champion. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, man. How are you guys? Thanks for having me today.
We're
Good,
doing
good.
pretty well. We are very excited. This is a pretty big interview for us, I think. Like with the professional wrestling that I have watched for the last 15 to 20 years, this guy that's joining us here has played a huge role. I mean, I talk about being PWG young boy, being ROH young boy, now AEW young boy, and this guy lived in all these places. So we are very excited to have you here today, Mr. Cole. First of all, let's say happy birthday to you. Hope that it was a great one. And how was everything?
Oh, thank you, man. It was a great birthday. Again, when I
Mhm.
when I was younger, I was maybe more interested in going out on like these adventures for my
Yeah.
birthday and doing a bunch of stuff or traveling somewhere. For me now, the older I get, when I have some time off, especially on my birthday, my dream scenario is to just be home and chill with my family. Like I
Yep.
spent all weekend with my mom and my brother and my new puppy as well. So it was it was very relaxing, very low key, but exactly what I want. You know, the older I get, the more, and I've always felt this way, but the older I get, the more I understand that it's just time with your loved ones should be so cherished.
Yeah.
And so that to me was my dream birthday. So yeah, to answer your question though, it was great. It was very low key, but it was great.
Nice,
Awesome.
nice. Of course, we've got AEW All In Texas coming up. You've got
Mm.
a big match coming up
Yeah.
against young up and comer Kyle Fletcher. Not just a young up and comer, a guy that on the last episode of Collision 100, uh, left Dan Garcia in a bloody heap to become
Yeah.
the number one contender.
Woo.
Um, how do you feel about going into a match with a guy that's not just young and hungry, but relentless, looking to not just win, but possibly hurt you in the process?
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. No, he's incredibly dangerous. And I think he showed that on Collision 100. And I can tell you personally, the last time we stepped into the ring together, there were a couple of moments that where I really could have been hurt in that match
Hmm.
with him. He is a strong young man. He is a fast young man. He's a determined young man. I've said this before about Danny Garcia, but I feel the same way in some capacity about Kyle Fletcher, where he very well could be the future of All Elite Wrestling. He's certainly on that
Hmm.
track. I think Don Callis has got him thinking a little bit incorrectly. I think in a lot of ways corrupting Kyle Fletcher. But again, Kyle is incredibly talented. I know that I'm going to have to bring my A game. As far as I'm concerned, this will be the toughest challenge to date at All In Texas against Kyle Fletcher for this TNT championship. But since winning this title, it has meant so much to me. Again, to win the
Hmm.
championship on my 17-year wrestling anniversary, after all the hardships that I went through, I worked so hard to get to this position to be the TNT champion, and I'm not going to go down easy. So again, I'm going to give Kyle my all. I'm going to make sure that I bring my absolute best, especially at an event like All In Texas. And I'm going to retain my championship. I will. Some way, somehow, I'm going to retain that championship.
Kyle Fletcher at Collision was pretty much like, that's my championship, Adam Cole. He's already in his brain the TNT champion. And there's a lot of talk and people that think he could possibly have an easy way with you to this championship. How do you feel about first Kyle Fletcher thinking that's already his championship and the detractors thinking it's going to be an easy night for him?
Yeah, yeah. So Fletcher with that confidence is a very important thing. Yeah, you should.
Hmm.
Every single match that I go into, that's how I feel going into my match with Kyle. I think I'm going to beat Kyle. I believe in my soul that I'm going to beat Kyle and retain my championship. And I think Kyle should feel the exact same way. The difference though is there's such a fine line between confidence and foolishness, arrogance. And I
Hmm.
think Kyle is teetering on that line. Kyle thinks that this is going to be a walk in the park, that it's going to be an easy match for him. And I can promise you right here, right now, I'm going to give Kyle the match of his life. Like I said, this will certainly not be an easy match for Kyle Fletcher in any capacity.
Hmm.
So again, I want him to feel and believe that he's going to win that championship because that's exactly how I feel. The difference is my experience, the matches I've been through, the opponents I've faced. I have faced the toughest, the baddest, the strongest, the fastest. I have faced everyone you can imagine. And Kyle is very good, but he's not Adam Cole. He's not Adam Cole.
AEW just crossed a big milestone, 300 episodes of Dynamite. You've
Mm-hmm.
been with AEW for almost 4 years now. It'll be 4 years in September. Um, how did it
Wild.
feel so far being a part of this company and being a part of something that's still relatively new?
Right, right. It's exciting. I think being involved in something relatively new, like you said, really does create this just anticipation of like where things could go. And
Mm-hmm.
for me personally, since joining AEW, it's been an absolute blast. I'm having the time of my life. From the night I debuted alongside Bryan Danielson to going into All In Texas to defend my TNT championship, it has been an absolutely wild ride, but in the best way possible. Again, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I've experienced my most challenging moments of my career within AEW,
Mm-hmm.
without question, with the injuries that I've been through. But I've had some of the most rewarding and incredible moments of my career, like All In Wembley Stadium, getting to main event and challenge for the AEW World Championship was so cool. Being the first Owen Hart Memorial Cup winner was just such a cool, awesome thing. Winning the TNT Championship on my 17-year of wrestling anniversary in
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia, the city where I trained and had my first match. There's just been so many cool, awesome moments. Again, I think the world of our roster. When Tony Khan says we have the best pro wrestlers in the world, I also believe that. I really, really do. And we do. We have the best fans in the world. I mean, every city that we go to, the AEW fans are just absolutely unbelievable. They're there to have a good time. They're there to show their passion for All Elite Wrestling, and it really shows. So again, it's been a absolute wild ride these past 4 years. But I'm having the time of my life.
Funny enough, that also coinciding with Dynamite 300 was Collision 100, and I
What are the
think
chances?
right? Isn't that wild?
Wild.
I think you are now pretty synonymous with Collision,
Yeah.
and like a lot of in the beginning of Collision, it legit felt like the Adam Cole show. Like there would be like Collision started, and they'd be like, "Here's a big Adam Cole match. Here's a big Adam Cole match." Like it felt like it was your show. How do you feel about where Collision is, and how it lands in the landscape of AEW?
Sure, sure. I think it's been super exciting to see what Collision has done. In like I said, such a short time. And again, we celebrated 300 episodes of Dynamite. We only celebrated 100 episodes of Collision. So again, you talk about a young company. Collision is a young wrestling television show. So to be at the forefront in any capacity for this show is something I'm really, really proud of. I think matches that take place on Collision are just excellent, and it's
They're
been so cool. This
unbelievable.
unbelievable, but between FTR matches and Daniel Garcia matches, I hate to say it, but Kyle Fletcher matches. I mean, the guys on there are just absolutely crushing it. So to be there as the TNT champion, kind of leading the charge for this show is something that I take a lot of pride in. And I kind of mentioned this this week on Collision, but I feel like I'm just so excited for the future because I feel like
Yeah.
Collision is absolutely going in the correct direction. I think you're going to continue to see the best pro wrestling matches you've ever seen on this show. So yeah, it's really, really cool. And again, I take a ton of pride representing TNT as the TNT champion, and then in turn representing Collision. It's a big honor for me.
You talked a little bit about setbacks. I don't want to get too much into it. I know at one point
Sure.
you were doing a lot of interviews, and I'm sure it probably gets tiring to talk about some of the most challenging points of your life. But how did it feel going through some of those challenges and getting a reaction like you did in Arena Mexico and seeing that people still are here? People are here to support you no matter what.
Yeah, it's really, really hard to put into words because I've said before with the injuries and with the challenges and stuff, obviously physically it can be very challenging, but the hardest part for me was mentally. Again, especially after I had the head injuries and then I was back for like 6 months and then my ankle exploded and I was out for a year. Like that was so soul crushing and so heartbreaking. And you play mind games with yourself where you're like, oh man, the fans aren't going to care anymore. The fans are going to be like, forget it. He'll be around for 2 weeks and then something will happen to him again. That really, really got in my head. But to get the respect, the response from these fans, especially, I'm so glad you brought up Arena Mexico, because I was floored. I was trying so hard to act like, oh no, it's not phasing me. Inside, my heart was beating. I had goosebumps all over my body. I was so blown away, and it was so cool, because that was my first time in Arena Mexico. So
Really?
yeah, first time. I had wrestled in Mexico before, but never Arena Mexico. So I'm
Oh,
very thankful
wow.
to add that to the. So now it's like Madison Square Garden, Wembley Stadium, Arena Mexico, obviously, Tokyo Dome. So to be able to add that to the list was really cool. But anyway, to answer your question though, I think that my fans and most wrestling fans know that I do love this with my whole heart, and I will always give them my best, even when I'm out injured. I always try to have a smile on my face. I try to be positive and optimistic, because again, this is my dream job. Pro wrestling is my favorite thing in the world, and I think a lot of fans know that and appreciate that about me. I think they do know the challenges that I've been through, but they know I'm not going to give up, that I'm going to keep going. And it's just such an unbelievable feeling, because the wrestling fans are the reason that we do this. The reason I get to do what I love to do is because wrestling fans who have my back and support me. So I am forever grateful. And yeah, I'm just so grateful that they've stuck by me.
Yeah, we talked about it on our show. It's like no matter what happens with Adam Cole, the fans are always there. That Arena Mexico thing was like, they don't care about anything. They love them some Adam Cole, and they are ready for this show. Amazing stuff. You talked about it a couple times in this interview, how you won the TNT championship on your 17th anniversary. How do you feel specifically about this TNT title reign? What would you give the letter grade to this specific TNT championship reign that you're having now?
Oh, well, I'm very proud of the defenses that I've had, certainly, whether it's against Josh Alexander, Claudio. Obviously, the Kyle match did not end the way that we wanted it to, and that ended in a disqualification. But certainly, as far as me holding on to this championship, being proud of this championship, and looking to the future of all the different title defenses that I want to have, I'm giving myself an A. I really am. I take full pride in being champion. I'm not focused on anything else right now except for being the TNT champion. Of course, I'm thinking about my boys in the Paragon as well. But as far as championship gold, right now I'm just focused on that. So I think we're in the process, and this thing is just getting kickstarted. And again, after I beat Kyle at All In Texas, I'm going to focus on my next challenger, whether it's other members of the Don Callis family, whether it's people I'm not even thinking of right now. I'm ready to defend this title against anyone and everyone. So yeah.
Speaking of championships and a word undisputed that has kind of followed you for the last few years.
Oh yeah.
There will be an undisputed championship soon. Kenny Omega is one of the guys that could hold that belt. You've kind of got unfinished business with Kenny Omega as well, because when you first came in, it seemed like we were leading towards a match with Kenny that unfortunately never happened. Is that a match now and a belt now that you have your eyes on at all?
I think so. I think since I've gotten to AEW, the one guy, like you said, where we thought maybe it was going to go somewhere, but then it didn't. The one guy that I think people would really enjoy, and that we just have never made it happen, is me versus Kenny Omega. So imagining that match never happening with both of us in the same company is just so hard for me to believe. So I think when the time is right for me, and when the time is right for Kenny, I think certainly someday we're going to get Adam Cole versus Kenny Omega.
That my brain was like, that doesn't, I don't think, like it still can't, even though you guys are in the same place, my brain is still like, what? That sounds crazy. So
it's gotta happen.
Yes, right. Going into a gigantic show this Saturday, AEW Texas All In, very important and pivotal show. Where do you think, because we haven't had a gigantic AEW show in America. How do you think it's going to differ from the AEW All In show that happened in Wembley?
Yeah, there's a lot on the line for this show. There really is. Again, the past 2 years with All In Wembley Stadium, just incredible events, record-setting events, some of the best matches that you've seen. But all of us are so excited to do this show in Texas this year. Again, AEW takes a lot of pride, and I stand by this. Nobody does pay-per-views like All Elite Wrestling. Nobody.
At all.
And this is All In. The first time, like you said, in America for this major event that we know it as now. So it's. Again, there's a lot on the line. There's a lot of huge matches that are happening. And I'll tell you, I really think that every single person involved in this event is going to go out there and just give you the absolute best performance that they possibly can. So we all know how important this show is, and we all know how special this show is, and we all know the expectation for this show. And AEW is ready to follow through with that promise.
Yeah. When we interviewed Speedball, he said that he thinks this is the best era of pro wrestling. He said that you've been wrestling 17 years. You've been a fan probably longer than that.
Yep.
What would you say differentiates this era of pro wrestling from any other era?
Oh, yeah, that's such a good question. I think the biggest difference now, and this kind of applies, I guess, to the rest of the world as well, but accessibility. I mean, you have so much access to so much different wrestling at all times. I've said this before. I'm kind of glad that I didn't grow up and there was just wrestling available every single day, because I don't think I would have left the house. I really don't. I
would have never gotten a girlfriend, Adam Cole. Honestly, it would have been terrible.
Exactly. I would have never left. I would have never left home. So again, with now how much you have to watch, it's so cool, because whatever style of wrestling you're into, you can find it so easily now. So easily. So I think that's probably the biggest thing is, again, the options that you have available. You don't have to worry about doing, tape trading and maybe getting your hands on some New Japan or some AAA. Now so much of it is available online. So I think that's probably the biggest thing is how you can find anything that you're looking for now.
They talk a lot about this specific AEW roster because it's unbelievable. There's there's Kenny Omega, there's Will Ospreay, there's Kyle Fletcher, there's Swerve Strickland, there's Mercedes Moné, there's all these super talented wrestlers on this roster. How do you compete? Do you compete? Is it because it isn't competing with other companies? It's competing with the matches that are happening on the current show. Like, Is that motivation for you to know that you're competing with the best wrestlers in the world on a nightly basis?
1,000%. 1,000%. I mean, every time you go out there, you want to have the best match on the show and have the best performance that you possibly can. And again, it's a healthy competition for sure. Yeah. So like the locker room and our roster, I feel like it's the best it's ever been. Like there's just so much encouragement that goes on. Everyone wants everyone to just absolutely kill it. It's not in the sense of like, oh crap, so-and-so had a really good match, I'm angry. It's, oh man, so-and-so killed it, I got to go out there and crush it now. So like, it's that type of, I guess, environment, which is to me the best and most healthy environment. Because if you're not bettering yourself, then what are you doing? Every single time, even me 17 years in, and I know a ton of Will Ospreay feels this way, Kenny feels this way, Swerve feels this way. You're constantly trying to improve and get better and change your game in some aspect and things like that. So not only do you want to improve, but it keeps you fresh and things like that too. So, but yeah, there absolutely is very healthy but very real competition that goes on among our roster, and I love it. I wouldn't want it any other way.
For sure. I think going with what you said, how accessible wrestling is now, wrestlers are more accessible than ever with social media and just other channels, whether it be TikTok, you do the streaming and other things. So how much of that do you think affects wrestling at the moment? Like, does that make it harder? Does that make it easier to reach certain people?
That's a great question. And I actually think it depends. I think there are some circumstances where, especially depending on your wrestling persona, where it can be very beneficial to have a ton of access to the fans and be able to interact with them more. Because again, you've seen it before, is there have been times where maybe a wrestler didn't get super popular yet until something started happening online, whether it's YouTube shows or their tweets or their Instagram posts or what have you. Stuff like that can really, really benefit a wrestler. Then there are other times where the thing about a wrestler that is so intriguing is the mystery about them, where it actually may be better off for them to not be involved in social media as much. So again, I really do think it depends. I think, for example, I love the access that we have. I know you brought up the streaming. I absolutely love Twitch streaming. It's pro wrestling and video games are my two favorite things in the world. So to be able to communicate with another group of people about something I'm passionate about, and on top of that, to have the love and support from them in pro wrestling as well is really, really cool. And I built a connection with some fans that I would not have otherwise if it was not for Twitch streaming. But once again, I do understand the other way where you want to create this mystery and intrigue about you, and you don't want fans to know too much, so you kind of want to stay hidden. So I think it has its pros and cons depending on what your wrestling character is.
Kayfabe and who knew him.
Yes. Right.
Phil brought up undisputed and things earlier, but we're not really undisputed anymore. It's now Paragon. Kyle and Roddy have been, I don't know what they've been drinking in their water and how they've been moving, but they've been wrestling unbelievable the last couple of weeks. What made you guys make the switch to Paragon? And talk a little bit about how those guys have been going crazy the last couple months.
Sure. Well, first and foremost, it's no surprise to me with Roddy and Kyle going crazy because they are crazy. They're two of the best wrestlers I've ever stepped into the ring with. They're two of my best friends, guys I have known for well over a decade. We talk every single day. I was at their weddings. I mean, these guys are not just on-screen friends. They are very, very much real best friends of mine who I love dearly. So, those two are they're absolute machines. They keep getting better and better, which is just wild. But in regards to, the name change to go with Paragon is obviously me, Kyle, and Roddy look back so fondly of the Undisputed Era. Seriously, like we had an absolute blast. I was so proud of what we did, so proud of what we accomplished. But going forward, to me, I do think it's important sometimes, while at the same time paying tribute to the things that we have done, I think going a new direction or with a new name and a fresh coat of paint with the same group is a good approach as well, because obviously our trio in AEW is definitely different than it was in NXT. So I think having that name was really important, that name change. And still, Paragon meaning the best of the best or the elite of the elite. I really, really do believe that. I think me, Kyle, and Roddy together are a trio that we can't be stopped. We can't be stopped. So that was the reason for the name change. And those two are they're unbelievable. Every time I watch them, they make me want to be better. Like they are just so good. So good.
The elite of the elite, you said, Adam Cole? I heard that.
The elite of the elite. Yep. That's right. I said it.
On that same wavelength, was it kind of important to get a reset from a lot of stuff that you were linked to, whether it be NXT or your first few years with AEW?
Sure, I think so. Yeah. Again, like I had said before too, is again, we're so proud of what we had done and what we had accomplished. But I do think sometimes, I don't want to say, but kind of starting fresh sometimes can be a cool thing. Roddy had gone through a really serious injury. Kyle had gone through a really serious injury. I had gone through a really serious injury. Truth be told, all of us were kind of like, man, are we going to be able to keep doing this? Like that, there was a real discussion that was had just based on the severity of the injuries. And then when we all got to come back around the same time and we all felt better than we'd ever felt and we were healthy and happy and going back to doing what we loved, we're like, man, this is a fresh start. Let's make this a new thing. So yeah, absolutely.
I think I watched you. I'm just trying to thinking back to the past and Adam Cole moments that I've seen live. I think I saw you and Kyle wrestle it was like Fort Lauderdale ROH in like 2013, maybe.
Okay.
And I just remember being like, these guys are, I don't know where these guys came from. And those early 2010s where you guys were in, like I said, ROH and PWG, kind of defining what the style of AEW began. Did you guys know that you were starting a revolution when you were in the locker room with pretty much the guys that you're in the locker room now? Did you know back then that it was inspiring what we're currently seeing?
Oh my God, no idea.
No?
No idea. Like to see where wrestling has gone. And like you said, too, even the style of wrestling has been so cool. I mean, don't get me wrong. We obviously we have all the passion in the world. We wanted to go out and have the best matches that we could. The style of wrestling that we really enjoyed, and also that the PWG fans and the Ring of Honor fans enjoyed. We at the time were just doing our job. We never in a million years thought like, oh my God, the entire wrestling landscape has completely changed, because it has.
Yeah.
So to look back on those moments at PWG and Ring of Honor and New Japan, and just independence, across the country, it is really, really awesome to see that style change and to see that everyone's kind of adopted that. And then also as well, like you said, being in a company like AEW, like a huge international wrestling company that literally I'm bumping shoulders and sharing a locker room with all these guys that I was in the small building in Reseda with. So it's really cool, really, really cool.
That picture that Bandito just posted of him, Kyle and Roddy, and you. There's so many PWG world champions and ROH champions back there. It's unbelievable.
Right. Yeah. PWG and Ring of Honor certainly made a big impact. That's for sure.
I wouldn't be who I am without them, so I always have to pay tribute.
No, I appreciate. Me either. So I appreciate it.
The shift gears. One of the things I see you're into, other than video games, of course, and wrestling, is hip hop. And so every time I see you posting about either J. Cole or Jid, I'm like, how did this happen? How did you get into J. Cole and Jid?
Yeah. So again, funny enough, Roderick Strong is also a huge hip hop fan. And I always, when I was younger, I always just liked the beats. I was like, oh, this is cool. I absolutely loved it. But then as I got older, and started to appreciate stuff lyrically, especially guys like Jid and Eminem and J. Cole and Kendrick and stuff like that. Again, I love wrestling promos, and I'm not saying that hip hop and wrestling promos are the exact same, but in a wrestling promo, you tell a story. And in hip hop, lots of times my favorite songs are ones where you're telling stories. So I was just so impressed lyrically by what a lot of them could do. And also it sounds so cool. Again, before I'm going out there to wrestle, if I have headphones on, that's what I'm listening to. That just gets me in a zone and gets me in a place to go out there and wrestle and perform and be the best version of me. So I do. I absolutely love hip hop, man. It's definitely my favorite genre of music to listen to.
I love it. Do you think sometimes fans rely too much or think too much on past things? Because it feels like every 2 weeks, this clip of you talking about a wrestler in NXT comes up. Like every 2 weeks, they're like, hey, remember when Adam Cole did this? And we're like, yes, we remember. Do you think people are too stuck on things like that?
I think sometimes that can be the case. And don't get me wrong, I understand there's a feeling of appreciating nostalgia. Like for example, not to bring it into video games, but like there are times often where I'll be like, man, I really feel like playing Super Mario World on the SNES now. Just, oh God, I loved that game so much. And you go back to it because of the memory and the moment. And don't get me wrong, it's still great, but you go back to it because of that feeling that you had when you were younger. And I think a lot of people who were growing up or watched a certain match or a certain promo, and they were at a certain point in their life where that meant a lot to them, they constantly want to go back to it. And I understand that. But I do think it's important as well to focus on what we have right now, because we got a lot of really, really good stuff across the board, not just in AEW. I mean, in all of pro wrestling, like a bunch of incredible stuff going on. So again, I appreciate looking back on moments as being super, super special, because I do the same thing. But I think it's important at the same time to enjoy what's going on now.
For sure.
Yeah.
With the video gaming and some of your big matches in AEW, you've done some pretty notable cosplay. You did the Master Chief in your match with Hangman. Recently, you did the Witcher 3 cosplay. Do you have anything in mind for this match coming up for All In Texas?
Well, I think we're just going to have to wait and see. I think we're gonna have to wait and see. Who knows? Who knows? It's a possibility. It's a possibility.
You know, Adam Cole, one of my favorite concepts of the TNT Championship and kind of the legacy of it, and what I always scream I wish they would bring back, was the open challenge aspect of it. Like, I think that was so important, one, for the history of AEW, because we've gotten some of the best talents. Like Eddie Kingston exists in this universe because of open challenges, and I think it plays such an important role in that championship. Do you have any interest in bringing that back as part of what you're doing now?
1000%. I know that my match with Claudio was in open challenge, which I really appreciated. I know my match, not quite fully open challenge, but it was to the entire Don Callis family. And that's when Josh Alexander answered. I completely agree. I think open challenges are awesome. I think it is a very, very important part of the TNT Championship in a lot of ways. So I would absolutely be game for that idea and that concept to come back, not only because it keeps the champion on their toes, but it's exciting for the fans. It's really, really exciting for the fans. Yeah. So I love it. Yep.
Yeah. Of course, the new group, Paragon, other than the TNT title, we asked you about the next title that's showing up soon. Is there any aspirations also to challenge for the Trios Championship?
1000%. And that's been a discussion that me, Roddy, and Kyle have had for quite some time. I know right now we've got our hands full with the Don Callis family at the moment. But again, I stand by the fact that I really do believe that me, Roddy, and Kyle can be and will be the best trio in All Elite Wrestling. We've dominated other places before. I think we can dominate here at AEW. So yeah, the trios titles are absolutely in our sights.
Yeah, I think those like big multi-man matches that have been on Dynamite now have been really well received. And at one point, people weren't sure like where did the trios title fit in. But I think every time we get those kind of matches, you see how good trios matches can be.
Yes. Right. Yes. Oh my God. Exactly. When you have the right guys in there in front of the right crowd and everything is just flowing. I really do think that there's nothing more action-packed and exciting than like a really good trios match. Like they are just the movement is go, go, go. There's so many different stories that you can tell as well. But yeah, the trios matches, I know they're a ton of fun for fans and they're a ton of fun for the wrestlers too.
I mean, we just got one last week on Dynamite with your boy. So that felt like being in Reseda in American Legion legit. I'm like, oh, we're back, baby. This is it's unbelievable that I used to watch it in front of 400 people, and now it's on Max. Like I can't even my brain is like, what, dude? How did this happen?
Right.
Who allowed this to happen? Maybe
exactly. God, so wild, so wild, and I love it.
Oh, well, listen,
go ahead.
We don't want to hold you. Appreciate your time.
Oh, of course.
Again, happy birthday. Good luck this weekend. Catch Adam Cole, AEW, All In Texas this weekend. And, of course, Dynamite and Collision weekly. This is Phil Lindsey, Righteous Reg, and, of course, Adam Cole. We're out of here.